Hey everybody, I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the Hazmat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer. But before today's show, let's listen to our sponsors. From traditional headsets to in-ear communications, Cavcon offers rugged and reliable choices for any communication challenge and any harsh environment. Cavcon's award-winning Talk Through Your Ears technology is specifically designed for clear and consistent in-suit communications. Whether you're working from a quiet control room or responding to an incident in a full level A, Cavcom has the comm system that's right for you. Any suit, any respirator, any radio, any environment. Check them out at cavcominc.com, that's CAVCOMINC.com, or give them a call at 866-547-4988. Hey everybody, we have a great episode coming up today, but before we start the show, we want to share some exciting news from the Hazmat Guys. As some of you may know, we have been working on a hazmat drill book for quite some time, and we're pleased to announce that it is finally available on Amazon. This book was written by contributors from the hazmat community based all around the United States, and we think it will provide a ton of value for both you and your department. The title of the book is The National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, 50 Drills to Improve Your Team, better known as NERD. No, this was not a mistake. Anyway, the goal of the book has been to help the hazmat community, and we hope that you'll take a moment to check it out and share it. We have the link in the show notes, and if you have a moment, please leave us a positive review in Amazon. We'd be very grateful. We wanted to get NERD on the bestseller list and give more exposure to our community. Again, the book is called National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, 50 Drills to Improve Your Team, and there's both a paperback and Kindle version available. Thank you, everybody.
Now let's get into the show.
So just because we get off in bunker gear and start in bunker gear doesn't mean that you can't change at any point in time. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So what kind of meters are we taking? Well, for us, we generally will take two different types of meters. We take a meter that is very similar to the sniffing metal oxide gas meter, which basically gives us an unquantitative but a highly qualitative idea of whether or not one of these halogenated hydrocarbons or refrigerants are in the air.
Remind them what qualitative and quantitative means.
Okay, so something that would be qualitative means that I'm just determining whether or not there is quality to it. So is it a refrigerant? Is it not a refrigerant? Is it a halogenated hydrocarbon? Is it not? For the metal oxides on the gas sniffers, it is literally, do I have a flammable gas? Do I not have a flammable gas? It's kind of a yes-no type of a thing, where something that is quantitative, quantity, meaning that it is giving me some kind of a number. I'm getting an idea of how many parts per million are in the atmosphere. I can differentiate quantities, and I can tell whether or not something is going down with a quantitative meter, and I can't do that with a qualitative meter.
Yep.
However, the little sniffer that is quantitative is really, really awesome for these types of leaks where we're actually trying to find a source. So that's one of the meters that we're going to take with us. The other meter that we take that we have, and again, we're not pushing any kind of brand, we're just letting you know what we have, is a Baccarat, which is an industry standard meter used to find very small leaks within very large systems. It gives us a quantitative.
Right.
So we actually will get a parts per million off of this meter. Very sensitive. It works really, really good. And we are going to get off with both, as well as our standard 5-gas with a PID and O2.
Yeah.
Because we definitely want to know what that oxygen level is, as well as we always want to make sure that we're not in some kind of a flammable atmosphere.
Or pH. I would bring pH as well.
Oh, pH, yeah.
You have ammonia, it comes up blue. You have some things that come up red. That would be something nice to know when you're coming in there, because that might be a trigger for you to change your PPE.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so just that. Now, as we come into these places, we're evaluating a machinery, right? We're not talking about a window air conditioner. We're not talking about a standard air, refrigerator like in your kitchen. We're talking about machinery. We're talking about pumps, valves, shutoffs, compressors, etc., etc., etc. Some of these machinery that we've seen, you need a PhD to turn a valve. So I will say, if you can, turn off the compressor. First off, shut the thing down.
Right.
Because there's pumps in there that are compressing, pumps in there that are moving, And then after that, we're going to start to really kind of isolate the leak, right?
Right. Now, we definitely want to, what Bob said is really, really important. We absolutely want to try to identify the different components of this. Maybe not right away, but at some point. And again, we're talking about a catastrophic leak here, right? So it is the whole system is emptied out. There's absolutely nothing that we can really do for the system itself. We're just looking to make sure like the compressor doesn't overheat, doesn't light on fire, things along those lines. And we want to ensure that the leak has absolutely stopped because these large systems have a lot of product
Pressure and
in them.
volume.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that leak is stopped. And if we have to, sometimes we will go and we'll actually start to crimp the pipe in these large systems, especially if there is still product in there that is coming out. We just go ahead and we crimp it and we'll call it a day.
And like I said, I've been on some of these systems where there's like thousands of valves. And it seems like, oh, okay, if I turn this one, I turn this one. You talk to the techs, and they're like, please do not turn any of them.
Yeah.
Because then they got to reverse all what we just did. And when they goes, what did you turn off? You go, I don't know, I just turned them all off. Now he's got to...
Whichever ones are 3 feet from where the break was. I don't know.
So, after that whole thing's done, and maybe you can crimp the pipe. Maybe you can't. But what we are definitely going to have to do is meter the area.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have to set up in certain areas. You're going to have to take readings. There's dead pockets of no ventilation, we'll say, with no air movement. We want to monitor that. We want to monitor where the people are. We want to monitor the basement, the attic space, the other refrigerators. Those things are just pockets of air or atmosphere, we'll say. You got to get a little creative. If you have like a freezer section, let's say like a butcher shop, you want to open the cooler and monitor inside there as well.
Yeah, you want to go all over the place.
Right.
And the biggest thing for these large catastrophic events is to ventilate with fans until O2 levels return back to normal. There's really very little that you can do. And as long as you don't have that flammable, I know a lot of times in hazmat we talk about pushing instead of pulling because we don't want the product to go through the fan because it's intrinsically safe and all that other crap. With the refrigerants, as long as it's not flammable, we're not dealing with corrosives. You could, if you needed to push it through the fan, freaking pull it through the fan.
Right.
But obviously, the best method is going to be to push the fresh air in.
Yeah.
So those are that's our thought process behind kind of these catastrophic leaks.
The big ones.
The big ones, right? The ones where it's just, poof, the whole area gets filled up all at once. The other type of leak that we often see, but not as often, is going to be the slow leak.
Right.
All right? Mainly because all these systems, right, they all start leaking at some point in time, and they all have refrigerants kind of like slowly oozing out of them. And we only get called on these in very specific scenarios.
Yeah. Like, a packing nut is leaking. There's a gasket that's been like just cracked.
Right.
And the guy just says, you know what? Listen, this thing's from 1901. And I'm just going to keep using it because, I'll just keep putting a little more refrigerant in here. It's not worth me taking this apart. I can't afford to take this thing apart. So the first thing is usually these systems are going to be in some type of unventilated room. You don't see this problem outside.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's in some room. It's always inevitably in a room, and it's been going on for some time, right? So we're going to push. What's going to happen is this slow leak is going to push the oxygen out of the room, and it's going to cause somebody to feel sick and or pass out during entry and trigger the response. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's one scenario. And the other one is just somebody happens to notice this really tiny, small leak. Either they hear it, like they hear a very light hissing sound, or they see it in the form of a bubble. A lot of times these units, between the cold air and the hot air, they get condensation on them. And if you get a little bit of water over one of these breaks, you can actually start to see it kind of foaming and bubbling a little. They don't know what's going on. They just know something's leaking. They call 911. They call the fire department, and we end up showing up. And both of these, we're going to operate a little bit differently. really kind of depending on what is going on, depending on the concentration and the product that's in the air. So we're going to assume that we have meters for this. If you're listening to this and you're an operations level and you don't have meters for this, then just kind of understand the process as far as what's going on. But at the very, very least, you should have an O2 sensor with you at some point in time going into these places.
Yeah. So you got to remember this is more of a chronic issue, right?
Right.
So this guy or the entity that is this business or whatever it is knows that he has a small, slight leak. And if this has been going on for long enough, you can rest your head that he has a stack of refrigerant canisters somewhere in the vicinity,
Yep.
so he can just recharge the system at will. So what I would kind of try to do is get an eyeball on those things. I'm telling you, they're in the area,
They are close by.
right? And there'll be a box in it, so like R123 or whatever the hell it is. Call that out. If you're really concerned about the PPE, you can look this up in, the NIOSH or the ERG, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and find your PPE. But I'm still going to be going in with my bunker gear and SCBA with my full, like you said, you're going to talk about the metering, but I do not change my PPE until my triggers, my spidey senses, woman's intuition, whatever you want to call it, says to change your PPE. So I'm going until...
You've heard us talk about First Line Technologies' Dahlgren Decon solution and their FiberTech wipes and mitts. They've just come out with Enhanced Decon Systems Kit, which contains everything you need to quickly decontaminate 6 to 24 operators and all their gear in one fully equipped grab-it-and-go bag. This kit has been Hazmat team tested and approved, and it's the only full-team modified decon kit with the power of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes to counter hundreds of known and emerging threats. The EDS kit is perfect for incidents where a small footprint, low logistics decontamination SOP is appropriate. Are you operating in a harsh environment? No problem. Whether it's minus 10 or 104 degrees F, Dahlgren Decon will maintain its effectiveness and can be easily applied to neutralize threats. The kit is stable in temperatures from minus 40 to 160 degrees F if you carry the RSDL with you. If you use all the consumables in the kit, unlike other rapid deployment kits, you do not need to buy a complete kit to resupply. Just purchase one of the First Line EDS replenishment packs and order just the elements you need. When ounces count and the clock is ticking, grab the EDS kit and go. Call the guys at First Line Technology for more information or a quote at 703-955-7510 or email them at sales@firstlinetech.com.
Did you ever go on any of those? We had a frequent flyer here for a long time. The ice cream shop
Yes.
in Brooklyn.
I did.
And what gear what PPE did you use?
We did...
Because I did bunker gear the whole time.
I think we did bunker gear as well.
Now, just to give you a little bit of background on this, like what we're kind of talking about, they used ammonia as their refrigerant.
Yes.
And the system was literally from like the 20s. I think
Yeah.
it was like 1923 was what was stamped on these compressors. It leaked like a goddamn sieve. Like normal background. This guy had fans going the entire time, vent fans. The normal background, like when it was operating normally, I think the guy was getting like 50 parts per million
Right.
in the machine
Right,
room.
300 is IDLH.
Right. And he literally had these giant tanks that he would just hook in and fill up when the thing started getting low.
It was so bad the neighborhood stunk and the people started complaining, so he started giving ice cream out to shut them up.
Yes, yes. He bribed the neighborhood with ice cream.
And they were like, all right, whatever. It's not so bad, I guess. You know?
Free ice cream. I can take that. But my meters are pretty much going to be the same as my Catastrophic, right? I'm going to have my O2. I'm going to have my Baccarat, and I'm going to have my sniffer, because especially the sniffer, because this one I really want to try to find the leak if I can. I want to really isolate that area as best as possible.
Right. And again, now this brings us into evaluation of the machinery. So we're going to have to start, again, turning off the compressor. Might actually, now this is a little bit of a different system. It might have to be a little bit of the risk versus reward kind of thing. Can the room stay ventilated and maintain the limits that we're looking to do, the PELs, TEWAs, IDLH, whatever it might be? Or is that a reason why we want to turn it on? Does that make sense?
I think so. Because if we had a reason, if we didn't have a reason, why not just shut it down, right? So a lot of people might sit there and go, well, it's leaking, let's just shut it off and be done with it. But what if turning that system off is going to have some kind of an adverse effect to the population, right? So let's say like a large residential building that you've just wiped out their air conditioning and they have a large population of elderly and kids, and it's the summertime, right? Like that little bit of refrigerant that's leaking out, to kind of kill that or to isolate it or to crimp it or to do what you had to do to stop it from leaking, it might not be worth the potential harm that you're putting the residents in.
Oh, see, I'm thinking about it from a different way.
Oh, how are you thinking about it?
I'm thinking like most people are going to be like, oh, I got to turn this thing off because it'll reduce the pressure. But these systems work a little different. There's a pressure side, and I'm not going to say there's a vacuum side, but there's a low pressure side. So if let's say the pressure side is 100 pounds, and I'm making up totally bullshit numbers here, 100 pounds on the pressure side, and it's 12 pounds on the other side of that pump. Well, when I turn off the pump, it's going to come up to an equal 50-50, let's say, right? Well, if my problem was on the 12-pound side, and I turn it, I have now a bigger leak.
Yeah, you'll have more pressure on
see
the
what I'm
low
saying?
pressure side.
So you can't just go automatically shut it down. I think you got to do a little investigation, SCBA, hand lights, whatever it might be. Check out where it's coming from. I'm not saying everybody has to be a freaking, an HVAC guru, but we're pretty mechanically inclined. We can look at the system and go, yeah, we can just turn this valve and that valve and we're good.
Right.
Right?
Right. We should be able to do something along those lines. So evaluate it, take a look. It might be something as simple as just trying to tighten a fitting. Now, lightly, of course, right? Because we don't want to take a small leak and turn it into a catastrophic leak.
Right.
We may have to do something as easy as just crimping the pipe. And in a large system, just keep this in mind, right? Bob was talking about that balance, right, where things are coming and going. If I have a large reservoir and I have a hole in a pipe and I go to crimp between the reservoir and the pipe, I also have to remember that there's an entire system on the other side of that hole that needs to be taken care of. So if you're going to crimp on both sides.
Well, in
of
order
the
to
wound.
crimp and have it actually work, it has to be in equilibrium, or else that crimp is going to be fighting the pressure, and that pressure might be building, right? Because as this shit warms up, it's gaining more pressure. So your crimp at 12 pounds within 3 hours might be at 100 pounds, and the crimp might have worked at 12 and not at 100.
And not at 100, right?
So we might have to do 2 crimps. We might have to fold it over. And again, every time we crimp, we might be compromising the piping, the soft copper piping. So again, we're not saying go and flip the switches, go and shut piping, crimping. Valves are made to be shut. Pipes are not made to be crimped. So you might make the problem worse.
Yeah.
So.
And what are we going to do to meter an area like this? Well, I think in something like this, we're going to try to find the leak first. Whereas the catastrophic event, we're more looking for the O2, and we're looking to make sure that the levels are below the safe levels before we actually allow people to occupy. And then maybe go to the leak. Whereas in the slow leak, we're going to try to find that leak first and then work our way out.
Right, and we're going to ventilate until obviously the oxygen levels come back to normal.
Right.
And
you can maintain it with whatever ventilation is going to be on scene.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
So, all right. And again, we're still going to search for small pockets. This stuff is generally heavier than air. There are times that refrigeration things are up in attics or in second floors. So just kind of keep that in mind, that you really have to do a full 360 up and down when you're doing your metering.
We're at 41. Do you even want to do the poisonings and stuff like that?
You might as well, and then we'll cut it into 2 episodes.
Okay, I'm into that.
All right.
So, we're sweeping up the last couple of things. Using the word poisoning might be the wrong word. It might be the right word. I don't know. It's just a word that came to our mind, is that, can you get poisoned? Like, can you feel ill effects? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Now, you mean beyond the oxygen displacement?
Yeah, because they're gases. Their gases, they are considered toxic. And when you say something is toxic, it has an untoward, effect on the human body. So some of the things, and again, this is all those things that are going to change my PPE selection is, let's say I come up to that, the guys in the meat butcher section of the supermarket, they come out and they're starting to say, well, I'm dizzy. I got a headache. I'm coughing. I have eye, nose, and throat irritation. You could say, listen, maybe the guy was on a bender last night. Maybe they had WMD release in there. Or maybe it's refrigerant.
Maybe it's
Which one's
refrigerant.
more realistic?
Right.
Probably the bender. But anyway, it's probably a refrigerant. You just got to kind of weigh it all out. Are we looking for sludgeum? You're not looking for sludgeum. Stop being a jerk.
No, yeah. And, it's funny because because of the ones that I've been on and dealt with the firefighter side of it, I'm always thinking, I got to let these guys know what their possible signs and symptoms are. Because some of this stuff, you take in a couple breaths of really high concentration, especially when there's the lubricant that's in the air, it gets into your body, and you can actually, 24 hours later, have heart palpitations.
Oh, dude, if you have the oil, you have aerosolized oil that gets in your lung, you can get pneumonia and never come out from that dirt nap.
Right.
Like, you're going down.
Yeah.
Like, because that goes deep. So it's very hard to get an oil out of your lungs that's properly aerosolized.
Yeah. And just the product itself can get deep into your lungs, and it can stay deep. There's the sodium hexafluoride that we like to use in
Yes.
demonstrations, and guys will inhale it and they'll talk, but you got to be careful with that shit because it stays in the lungs and it's really hard to get out.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. So when you're pulling those guys off to the side and you're like, hey, listen, just to let you know, I know you were in there without a mask. It's fine. I'm not judging you. But you, in 24 hours from now, you may start to get heart palpitations. You may start to feel tightness in your chest. Just be ready to recognize it, and don't just blow it off. You need to seek help if that happens.
Right. So now let's say we have a little bit more of a hit. Let's say it's actually the tech.
Okay.
He's working on the system, and it burps a large concentration, and so he has a large exposure, let's say. Well, vomiting. You can get chemical burns. You can get cryogenic burns.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I'm not saying when you say burned, it's hot. It could be cold, right? So you can get chemical cold burns. You can get heart palpitations, difficulty breathing, loss of consciousness. Why the loss of consciousness? Because of the oxygen exclusion.
Yeah.
And so that might be long enough for him. By the time he hits the door, which might be down 60 steps on a scuttle ladder, through the maze of piping, he might be overcome because this stuff's going down, and he might be on the second floor. So things are not working out for him.
And if you're in an O2, like if you're losing consciousness because of O2, you really don't have a lot of time. I mean, we've experienced it where you take a breath in and you are feeling like you're falling down immediately. It happens very, very quick. So what are we going to do with these people? Fresh air and O2, if possible, is really going to be the best bet for that kind of initial on the scene. What are we going to do for these guys? Let the hospital figure out all the other crap, but
Right.
Fresh air and O2. All right. Now, one thing we do want to hit on, we've said multiple times that most of these are relatively benign in lower concentrations. When we start to get to 1,000, 2,000, 6,000 parts per million, we have issues. But when it comes to fires, is a little bit different.
Yeah. It's this can go off the rails very quickly, right? When you have halogenated hydrocarbons, you have refrigerants thermally decomposing in atmosphere. They will produce other things, other components,
Nasty things.
nasty,
Nasty things.
bad things, and one of the most prevalent ones is going to be acidic atmospheres. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about things like hydrochloric acid atmospheres, hydrofluoric acid, hydrobromic acid, hydroiodic acid. Obviously, when we say, I had a hydrofluoric acid thing, people's hair starts standing up. Well, if I have a halogenated hydrocarbon refrigerant like a chlorofluoro or a hydrochlorofluoro that is decomposing thermally in air, I can get very easily hydrofluoric acid atmosphere. Bad. That's bad stuff.
Yeah, and this is, you don't have to go into how bad the hydrofluoric acid. If you're listening to this show, you know as a tech, even as an operations level, but this is not like a hypothetical, right? This is not like a, oh, hey, this might happen. There have been many, many accounts of firefighters who breathe this stuff in, and in a few breaths, within a couple of hours, within a couple of days, they are dead. These have been documented line-of-duty cases of exposure from the byproducts of burning refrigerants.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
If you have a moment, please head over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And don't forget to check out the book, National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, or NERD, on Amazon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the Hazmat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484 and go to www.thehazmatguys.com and sign up for the newsletter.
We seriously look forward to your feedback about any of the information provided, and we also want to hear about interesting incidents that you were a part of. So you can send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com. And remember, any of the information that you share with us, if we put it on air, can always remain anonymous.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job. Get into the job.